So first thing you'll notice is that in this like expanded customization, we've got a lot more slots than we previously had. So that is a big thanks to Akrythael. Please make sure to give him a sub on Ko-fi and stuff if you could afford it. He very much deserves it. So we're having a big think on how we're going to go about giving you as much customization as you can over the characters. So as such, we've split the head up into three parts. We have the, your kind of basic character customization head, which let me show you. So we've got a head. We've included a few extra heads, which are from the kind of guardsmen that you find throughout the game. We particularly like this one, who's the officer/conquest, depending on who you ask, Gadriel or the gang. And I've also thrown in the chaplain head to allow us to do some kind of fun combinations. So we have the helmet slot, which is fairly self-explanatory. I've put together a kind of basic suite of kind of the more interesting combinations we can do, as well as covering the kind of, standard ones for each of the classes. So we've got Gravis, Phobos, Tacticus, and the kind of heresy helmets, as well as a couple of other ones I've sculpted and put together. So, where things get interesting is the accessory slot. So these are all of your forehead kind of icons, your hoods, your laurels, your crests and things. And I put some work into editing all of the character models so their foreheads are kind of in the appropriate positions. So beforehand, I'm sure many of you will remember that we used to have kind of floating skulls and stuff coming off the front of the character. That's no longer the case. I've put some work into kind of edit them subtly enough where most of the accessories work with each helmet type. Where there are kind of major differences, so that's things like the bonding studs, I've developed a system where they'll kind of adjust according to which helmet you have equipped. We have a system in place as well where depending on the helmet you've picked, if it's appropriate to have it or not, it'll get equipped or unequipped. So you see down here where it's any kind of bare head options, they don't appear, whether that be forehead icons or helmet attachments, and the ones where there is a helmet, they appear. But right, kitbashing. So let me show you the programs that you need and the stuff that I recommend, and then we'll go over kind of common cases that cause crashes and kind of things to avoid and things to look out for. So this is Notepad++. It's really useful. You can edit stuff in Notepad, but I'd recommend Notepad++ because it comes with a bunch of features that make things a lot easier to navigate. One of which is that you have a language tab, which the language you want to use for this is C, which kind of nicely color coordinates things and tends to highlight that, like, if you f***ed up something, you get little errors and things that appear. So where do you find this file? So in my case, I make a lot of use of the quick access tab. So I have a cheeky little button that takes me straight to local, which is inside Space Marine client root local. And we're going to go into SSL, then we're going to follow this down into body, customization, character customization library. So it's going to look quite daunting, where we've got this long old list of 15,000 lines of code to go through. Luckily, one of the benefits of setting our language to C is we can go and like collapse regions. So one thing that I've done to try and make everyone's lives a bit easier is all the characters are kind of sharing the same items. I've put all of the customizations into shared outfit parts. We're hijacking some of the slots that are being used for kind of coloring different body parts and stuff to create these new entries. And so some of the stuff might not make sense. So like helmet lenses we're using for accessories. Right bracer we're using for all the heads. And left bracer we're using for the kind of tabards and things. I've kind of split all the parts up into three types, or well, four I guess technically. We've got Tacticus, which is your basic, Primaris Marine. We've got Phobos, which are the sneaky boys. And we have Gravis, which is your heavy character. And so Tacticus chest 01, Phobos chest, legs, arms, whatever, are the kind of the most basic implementation of bits that you need to create a body part. And these are broken up into various bits. So some of them aren't named the best. It's inherited a lot of the naming from the kind of base game, but I've gone and tried to rename things to make sense where they can. So one thing to bear in mind is that Phobos torso chest and torso chest 1 are these kind of shoulder pad things that live kind of beneath the shoulder pads. And we have those as part of the torso because it doesn't really matter what shoulder pad you equip, you always want those. So we have our basic Tacticus chest. These are all the different kind of chest plates and the main kind of torso armor. They've got a belt base, then a belt badge, his neck, then Cuirass shared base is kind of the main chest piece. And Cuirasso 1, for whatever reason, is the kind of little silver neck thing that their head sits on. So to start with, the easiest way of kind of taking a look and getting a sense of what's going on is to compare the differences between, let's say, breastplate 0 or breastplate 1 and breastplate 2. And luckily, one thing to bear in mind is that the order in which you have these displayed here will be the order they appear in the menus, with the exception of any DLC, which gets shoved to the bottom. But so, torso chest 1, torso chest 2. So you can see there are a few differences. One thing that's quite nice in Notepad++ is if you double-click something, you can see it kind of highlights in the other places. So we can see here that the big differences are the neck. This is Tacticus neck 2 versus neck 1. And we've added a whole bunch of belt bags, which you can see got all our belt bags, the neck with the kind of indent in it, and the cuirass, instead of using shared base, we use Cuirass 02, which comes with the Aquila baked into it. So, if we wanted to add a new chest piece, let's call this one, for now, we'll call this one chest piece 00. And so a common bug that people encounter is that if you have two of these pieces named the same thing, the game won't launch. You'll get stuck in the main menu and it'll just infinitely load. So, first thing you should always do when you duplicate a slot is rename it, because otherwise you'll forget and you'll go, oh my god, it's broken, I don't know what to do, help. So, I'm going to take a look at Tacticus neck 01, and let's try replacing that with Tacticus neck 03. And what you can do is if you go, okay, I want to get a sense of like what these different neck pieces are, one thing that helps is to go, okay, well these are going neck piece 1, neck 2, neck 3, neck 4, neck 5. So we know that if we count through these, this is neck 2, this is neck 3, this is neck 4. So I really like neck 4. I think that one's kind of cool. So we're going to update this one to say neck 04. And then let's take a look. What other pieces do we like? I quite like these cloth bits. And so I've tried to name them in a way that kind of makes sense. So these bits are either going to be called chaplain, and then we've got tank further down before we go into Phobos. So this piece, looking at it, will be chaplain 2. Because we've got Chaplain 1 here, Chaplain 2, Chaplain 3, Chaplain 4. So let's go down to Chaplain 2, and we are looking for the rope that's around his chest. So we can see here we have a piece called Tacticus Cuirass Rope 01. So I'm going to drag from the end where we've got this speech mark upwards. Hit Control-C to copy it. We're then going to scroll back up to our one that we made. You can see it's highlighted orange for us, which is nice and helpful. And I'm going to click at the end of the speech mark here, hit paste. And because I copied kind of one line above, this way if I just click after the speech marks, it'll just enter a new line. I don't have to worry about hitting kind of space and enter and reorganizing it. So we now know that this piece is going to have this neck and it's going to have this rope. Let's take a look at some other bits we want to add. I guess this plate's kind of fun. And so again, like there's not really an easy way for me to provide a table of like, okay, here are all the parts, these are the names, these are what they look like. But you should quite quickly learn, stuff with a chain will have chain in it, stuff with a plate will be called plate. Cuirass is kind of the name of this big center armor bit. Necks are all the neck guards, etc. But one thing that is helpful is there is a file all the way at the bottom of chest called chest hidden. And so the way that character customization in Space Marine works is all the bits are rendered visible by default, and unless they're added to an item. So what we have here is a hidden chest piece that contains every single bit that the characters have. So then that way that they're not kind of displaying by default. What this also means is it's quite a good little list for you to go and take a look at and go, ooh, these pieces sound cool, let's take a look. So in this case, we're going to go all the way down to Tacticus Cuirass. I've tried to put it in alphabetical order as well, so stuff's kind of grouped in a way that makes sense. And let's take Tacticus Cuirass Ammo. I think that piece sounds kind of cool. So we're now going to go up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Tacticus Chest 00, because that's what we named our file. It just makes it a bit quicker to get back to what we wanted. I'm going to paste that in. So these two are probably going to clip a bit, but that's fine for the sake of this example. So we're going to save this. And let's have a quick conversation about the heads and what's going on here, or really the helmets. So the way that we've set it up where we have the different pieces hiding or unhiding, depending what helmet you have, is I've edited their materials to create essentially an invisible like submaterial. And we add an override on any mesh where we don't want one of the accessories or heads to be visible, we add this section of code, which you can copy and paste from any of the existing ones, and then we add the bits we want to hide. So on the first Tacticus helmet, it's your standard Primaris helmet. We don't want the heads to be visible because you end up with hair and kind of lips and things poking through it. And likewise, we don't want the Chaplain bonding studs or the Mark 7 bonding studs because they're different sizes and shapes to the regular ones. So we hide those. We also hide their kind of lenses and glass that's associated with kind of the bionic eyes of different characters. So we hide those as well. Some of the characters we have half heads, and those are mainly used on the Phobos characters, where they've got kind of mouth covers or little kind of face masks and things they don't want their nose poking through. So that's why we have these kind of half heads listed here. But yeah, so okay. All the cosmetics you've shown off going to be part of the kit bashing add-on to the mod. The base mod are just examples of things you've made with capabilities. So yeah, all of these are going to be included. I've spent a long time splitting up all of these parts in ways that then allow people to kind of kit bash and merge things together. Let's try, it's going to be cursed, but let's try merging the Chaplain helmet with the Face Eagle. So we know that the second to last Gravis helmet is using the Face Eagle. So we're going to go down the Gravis helmets, and it is second to last one. So here we go, Tacticus Helmet 07 faceplate is the bit that we're after. And we're now going to go down to our Chaplain helmets. I'm just going to paste our little name thing here, just for a moment while it's safe. We're now going to duplicate Chaplain Helmet 01, and we're going to call this Chaplain Helmet 00_Eagle or something. And we're going to take this piece that we got, and we're going to add it to our helmet. So we're now going to save this, so we now have our new eagle piece, and we have our new chest piece. Right, let's load it up and see what happens. So something I should mention while it's loading is that heads and helmets tend to be split up into three parts. You have the kind of the base helmet, you then have the glass and the lenses, and all three generally need to be included whenever you reference or list a helmet, because that's what allows the lenses to be colorable. The one thing I'll reiterate while we're stuck in loading screen is please do not unlock or use DLC items until they're out, and when they do, we'll go over how to add the tags for DLC. But yeah, so okay, fingers crossed. So if I remember correctly, we added a Chaplain helmet with an eagle. So let's go down to our Chaplain helmets. There we go. It's kind of cool. Our chest pieces, and we had added, yeah, here we go, our first bit, allegedly, this is ammunition with our new neck piece and our rope. It's relatively straightforward. Again, the really, really big ones that will catch people out are making sure that these are unique names. You don't want them to be kind of reused. If you've got two of the same one, the game just won't start. You'll be stuck in the kind of menu. And then the other one to keep an eye on is these material overrides. So if you end up with characters' heads poking through your helmets, you probably haven't set up the invisible material override. One other thing to mention on the subject of DLC. So again, reminder, using screenshotting DLC stuff that's not available yet to kind of purchase and play with is a big no-no. Saber have given us these tools, we need to be responsible. However, if you use a DLC piece, let's say we want to use the Dark Angels piece, which is out, totally fine, you can do that. What you do need to do though, you'll see there's a section here called DLC lock. It has the DLC UID saying, which season pass is it. You should be able to find most of them kind of in the file if you just search for DLC UID. It says, what's the reason why this is locked. There were various reasons. So all you need to do is copy this and you put it after the kind of the meshes section, so this bracket. If in doubt, feel free to reach out to myself or one of the kind of more usual kind of kit basher people like Crack, etc., and I'm sure we'll be willing to give you guys some advice on how to do it.
If you or someone you know is interested in making mods for Space Marine 2, you have two options. One is to rummage around in the files for days on end and throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. The other, and the way that I would suggest, is to join the Space Marine 2 modding Discord server. There are a ton of modders in there just like myself, ready, willing, and able to help you learn and create your own mods. It's free advice for the most part, and it's a wonderful starting point if you're interested in modding even a different game. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and if you've gotten this far in the video, I highly suggest that you check it out.